Since 1934, Iowa's farmers have turned to the Iowa Farm Bureau spokesman as their trusted news source. Now, the Spokesman Speaks. Listen in and hear from leading experts on topics important to farmers and agriculture. Now, here's your host.
Welcome to the Spokesman Speaks podcast. I'm Caitlin Lamb, and today, as we wrap up Iowa Farm Bureau's annual meeting in Des Moines, we're giving you part 3 of our special 3-part series featuring the 2022 winners of Iowa Farm Bureau's Young Farmer Leadership Award. We've released the episodes featuring Tanner Brass and Melissa Moretz. If you missed those, go back and take a listen. And while you're there, subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks in your favorite podcast app. Today, we're listening in to my chat with Clark Dolch of Adair County, a cattleman and ag lender whose skills translate throughout his many roles in agriculture. We're out here at Clark Dolch's acreage. I can see beautiful rolling hills. We're here at a time when the leaves are starting to turn. It looks very beautiful here. I heard a miniature donkey a little while ago over here yeehawing and some sheep, and so I'm really feeling the countryside out here. And Clark, congratulations on being named one of our 3 Young Farmer Leadership Award winners. Can you tell me about your background in agriculture and your family farm?
My background in agriculture started when I was born. Born on the farm, grew up throughout high school on the family farm. My dad and uncle farmed together, about 500 acres of row crop, about 100 head of cows. Growing up, when I turned 10, started in 4-H, showed calves at the Montgomery County Fair. As things progressed, I also did static exhibits, went into FFA, went through state convention, national convention, got my state degree as well as my American FFA degree. From there, went to Iowa State University, majored in agricultural business, where I ended up getting a job as an ag loan officer with Farmers and Merchant State Bank in Orient. Recently transferred to the Winterset branch and enjoy working with ag customers on the other side of that. In 2010, I was able to purchase 40 acres and start my own cow herd. It's grown from 15 head to 35 head, and just a commercial cow herd that we enjoy spending in our off time when we're not at work. I reside in Adair County, Iowa, about 30 minutes southwest of Des Moines. Live here with my wife Molly and my 2-year-old son Colin. We sell feeder calves each fall and winter and enjoy spending time on the family farm from there.
So with all these things that are happening, you're a pretty busy guy, but you still make time for leadership activities in your community and also with the Farm Bureau. Can you tell me more about your Iowa Farm Bureau involvement and what that's looked like over the years?
So I graduated from Iowa State in 2011 and started with Farmers and Merchants in Orient. I moved to Adair County, and as a young loan officer, in order to get to know people in the community, looked for avenues to get involved and be a leader in the community. And Farm Bureau was the one organization that stemmed all my extracurricular activities as far as leadership goes. Just started on the board of directors, looking for ways to get involved, meeting new people. It was a great first step. Went through Ag Leaders Institute, represented Adair County and Iowa Farm Bureau out in Washington, D.C. Molly and I served on the Young Farmer Advisory Committee from 2017 to 2020. Through that time, I have been treasurer and vice president of our county farm bureau and just starting my term as president of the Adair County Farm Bureau. Have enjoyed it, find reason to be involved in Farm Bureau, find a lot of value in what their mission as far as an organization is. It has let me travel to a number of places as well as help me become a better leader over the years. Another thing, my wife is originally from a farm in Wisconsin. I made an Iowa girl out of her. We met at Iowa State and is the ag education instructor here in Stuart. She's also involved with Extension. I'm also on the Extension Council. So as we're working through the county, we touch a lot of the agricultural activities that go on. And there's ideas that come out of each individual group. The Adair County Beef Producers does a heifer project. We give up to $6,000 to a individual in the county to start their own cow-calf operation. I can touch base with her, get that connection with her to relay to her students to find quality candidates to continue to push production agriculture and help them get started in a way that they want to. So our leadership, I guess, together is all around the county. We work together. We are able to toss ideas off of each other, and it really makes us a rounded couple.
So you have a wide variety of experiences within the Iowa Farm Bureau. You just mentioned being part of the Ag Leaders Institute, the policy trips, the positions that you've held with the Young Farmer Advisory Committee. But being a young farmer, I think you also recognize that leadership is about more than what you do in the ag community, but also just in your general community as well. Can you tell me about the experiences you've had that maybe aren't ag related that have been meaningful to your community?
Being an ag loan officer in rural Iowa, you become part of the community. Working in Orient as well as Adair County, been part of the Betterment Committee in Orient. Allows us to take a look at what's going on in the town, to welcome new businesses as they come, plan and present the annual town celebration, Pumpkin Days in Orient. Also was a member of the Hospital Board of Trustees for 6 years from 2014 to 2020. Definitely something that was new to me, not growing up in a family of nurses or doctors. It was very interesting to learn how the hospital is a huge asset to the community, and enjoyed my time on there. Just with my paths, there comes a time where you can only do so much, and that was one of those things that I stepped down because I didn't feel like I was doing it justice. And that's part of being a good leader too, knowing what you can take on as a leader, as well as saying I can't fulfill those duties like I need to, and would like someone else to take that. So part of the Cattlemen's Association, the Corn and Soybean Association here in Adair County. Ag in the Classroom, have gone into the schools in Nottoway Valley as well as Orient-Macksburg to teach about that. Just a number of things, town celebrations, 4th of July celebrations, just all around trying to promote agriculture, even if it's not in an agricultural base, and understanding how all of these come together to make Adair County and rural Iowa thrive.
And we've talked a lot, and it's been mentioned about your position as an ag lender. And in your young farmer leadership application, you said one of the most critical issues facing young farmers today is that access to capital. So I'm curious as to, in your job and the different things that you've seen, if you have any type of advice for young farmers out there who may be having trouble just meeting their goals in terms of what they want their family farm to look like.
Communication. Communication is going to be key on that, whether it's with your parents, your grandparents, however that is going to be, to get in there, sit down with them, have that conversation where what your goals are, what their goals are. Include your banker. Bankers are there to help you, or your financial advisors are there to help you achieve your goals. And I think a lot of times as agriculturalists, as farmers, we are the last one to want to shoot a new idea off or get permission. We're kind of stuck in our ways. And so getting that advice and sitting down with them, and your local bankers, especially your community bankers, are rooted here in the county. They live here, they work here, they want you to succeed just as much as they want themselves to succeed. There's a lot of resources out there anymore. I mean, Farm Bureau has a lot of resources. FSA, as well as Iowa Finance Authority, are all available options out there. Your financial advisors or your bankers are kind of that stepping stone in between there. I've been privileged to work with a lot of young farmers that either work off the farm or have come back to start farming full time, and had a lot of tough conversations, a lot of good conversations in my office when dad, grandpa, and the next generation are sitting there, and you've got 3 different ideas, and working together through those is critical in your future success. And it goes back to communication on all aspects of things.
So it sounds like by using your communication skills, you're able to help other farmers reach their goals. And I'm curious as to what your future goals might be for your family farm as well.
We truly communicate and talk about what does the future look like. As far as for my wife and I, we want to continue to grow our operation on the cow side, get into the row crop a little bit, and be able to pass something on to the next generation. And I think that's the biggest thing, Caitlin, is this is a way of life. We enjoy agriculture. We are blessed to be in agriculture, and we want to pass that on to the next generation. Yeah, his vision of what agriculture might look like for him, or farming look like for him, might be different than mine. But as long as we get something to pass on, even if it's just that reliability, the work ethic, and things like that that's missing from today's outside of agriculture communities.
You had made a joke about, or maybe it wasn't actually a joke, about your wife being much smarter than you in agriculture at times. Obviously, that's her background, right? But you also sometimes help out in the schools as well through the Ag in the Classroom program. And in fact, the president of your board had written that sometimes you're referred to as Farmer Clark.
So before COVID, we were able to go into the classroom, and that is how I was referred to as Farmer Clark. Not only in the classroom, but out in public, working in the bank. The kids would come through with their parents or grandparents, and that's how they referred to me. I know you, you're Farmer Clark. So something little like that goes a long ways. Even when they're outside of the classroom, they still remember that I'm Farmer Clark. And if they have a question about what's going on in the field or things like that, they're more apt to ask me because we have that connection.
I think that's so great, especially so, you have that recognition as Farmer Clark, but also you're this positive person that has been part of their life, even if it was just for one classroom session. And a lot of the things we've been talking about here are being visible in your community and being a leader. So I'm wondering your thoughts as a young farmer on the importance of that.
You never know who you're going to come in contact with that you're going to make a lasting impression with. Like we just discussed, going into a classroom and sitting with 10, 15 kids, 20 kids, whatever, and spending that half hour, 45 minutes with them to discuss soybeans, corn, whatever, that is going to change their perspective on agriculture in a world that agriculture has become not a good thing. And so many things are attacking us that if we can continue to push the good aspects, that we're humans, we have young families, we have goals, we have jobs, whether it's on the farm or off the farm, and show them that we're people just like them. We're consuming our products. We believe in them enough to consume them, and that they want to do the same thing. So it goes back to consumer education. It starts when they're this old. That way, when they're my age, they understand that, and they still feel safe buying eggs and local things like that.
Yeah, this is like music to my ears, because I was recently in a meeting where, we went around the room and we're supposed to tell our colleagues, like, what is one thing you wish that people knew about agriculture? And I think about my farm family and my 4-year-old, hopping up in the combine with Papa and just never wanting to quit. And my thing was, I wish that people could see this, like you said, that there's a real family behind the food that's being grown or the fuel or whatever it may be, and we're not out to get you.
Exactly. There's a sign on my mom's front porch. It's faith, family, and farming. And I think that it's a family affair. I don't care if you're the wife or the daughter that just brings the meal to the field or anything like that. We're a family. We work together. We play together. We do everything together, and that's the root of what we're doing in agriculture. Is we want our family to succeed, our next generation or 2 generations down the line to be successful in agriculture. And we're not going to do it without the help of every American or everybody in the global communities to consume our products. And we want to produce that safely and effectively for them. But it starts with education.
As part of being a Young Farmer Leadership Award recipient, you are given money to then turn around and give to an organization of your choice. And can you tell me about who you chose and the importance of that organization to you?
My wife and I had many conversations about who to give the money to and which avenue we wanted to. I ended up giving it to Seeds of Hope, that honors Chasten Stephenson. It's kind of a twofold deal. Chasten was part of the Young Farmer Advisory Committee, also knew him through college, watched his struggles, and it reminded me a lot of my middle brother Jared, that had leukemia back in 2010, is in remission now, but spent 30 days in the hospital from Thanksgiving through Christmas of 2010. We actually spent Christmas that year in the hospital as he was taking on chemo treatments. But going back to the sign that's on my mom's front porch, faith, family, and farming, I think that's really when those 3 of those came together. You've got to have a lot of faith that the good Lord knows what path we're going down with him. The family, it was definitely a bond that you won't ever break us. My wife and I were just starting to date at that time, so she was probably a bigger crush for me at that point to lean on as we were going through those struggles. The farming part of it was probably the joy that came out of that situation, because we still had to go on with our daily cattle chores and things like that. So you would have that to ease your mind a little bit as he's going through that process. So to bring it all back together, wanted to honor him, honor Chasten, and it just seemed like it fit perfect.
Well, first, I'm so glad to hear that your brother is doing well. And I'm so glad that this donation then was able to align with so many things that mean a lot to you. So you had kind of set a scene earlier talking about a kid, a dad, and a grandpa might all be sitting in your office trying to hash things out. And those people would not be there if they didn't care about their family farm legacy. And so through those conversations and the things that you hear, how does that all translate into your family farm legacy? Because, standing here, I can tell that you have a passion for this. You care as well. How does that all work together?
So as I'm working with customers, it's always in the back of my mind, what do I want my farm legacy to be? Definitely with a little boy Colin here, I want him to learn that work ethic, learn to be passionate about animals, livestock, and care for the land, just as my family has and continues to do so. I don't care if he's actively involved in production agriculture when he gets older, that's his decision, but the values instilled and the lessons taught and learned out here on the farm, I want him to be able to pass on to his next generation. Loss of animals, not everything's going to go right all the time. How to deal with those, I think that the lessons learned out here are very vital important. That's my legacy. Farmland comes, farmland goes, but family is forever. It's something that you can't explain to someone that lives in the city. It's just a lifestyle that you got to be busy. You want to be busy. You want to care for that. You want next year's crop to be better. You want next year's calves to be bigger. It's just, you're always striving to be better, and it helps me relate to my customers day in and day out. It helps me to be a better banker as well as a better father and a better husband as well.
I totally hear what you're saying on, the farm just kind of grows up a different type of person. Not that if you didn't grow up on a farm, you can't be a good person. But I personally did not grow up on a farm, but now I'm raising these farm kids, and my 4-year-old, he just wants to work. And I'm like, are you sure you don't want to sit down and do a puzzle or color? No, he wants to be out there with dad. And so just seeing that work ethic being put into him, and then, I see it in you and the other Young Farmer Leadership Award winners we've talked to too, that there's just there's no quit.
It's fun to see the next generation be part of that. Colin loves coming outside. He's not always the most help, but he likes sitting on the tractor with dad, riding with dad in the tractor, and it just, like you said, there's no quit. And I think that's what makes us better individuals as far as leaders in the community, and even at our job. We succeed because we have that drive and that passion to always go for better results. And I think that starts out here on the farm, and it's just enjoyable, and I wouldn't raise a family any other way.
Faith, family, farming. Like Clark, I think those are things that drive so many of us today, and are values we hope to pass on to the next generation of farmers. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Tanner, Melissa, and Clark. And we'd also like to extend a congratulations and a thank you to all the Farm Bureau leaders who've joined us for our annual meeting this week. Thank you for doing the work that inspires everything we do here at the Iowa Farm Bureau. And thanks for listening to the Spokesman Speaks.
Thank you for listening to the Spokesman Speaks, a podcast by Iowa Farm Bureau. Check out more podcast episodes at iowafarmbureau.com/podcast. You can also find and subscribe to the Spokesman Speaks podcast in the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and other popular podcast apps. We appreciate your ratings and reviews, and we welcome you to email us your feedback at podcast@ifbf.org.